Hey, I'm Jack Garratt, and you're live in Limbo.
Pick apart the pieces you left. Don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it. Try and give yourself.
Hey guys, this is Mehek from Live in Limbo, and I'm in Toronto with the one and only Jack Garratt. How are you doing?
I'm okay, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Really excited for tonight.
Cool.
Last time I saw you, you were in town with Ms. Mister. You were on tour.
Yes. Oh God, yeah, that was the last time I was here.
Yeah, it was a couple months ago, and now the album is out. But I feel like you've been sitting on that for a little while. So while you were back, going back there on that tour, how much of the album was done at that point, and what was it like kind of holding on to and having that anticipation knowing it was coming out in a couple months?
I'm trying to think when that tour was. I'm honestly trying to think when it was. Was that?
It was around November.
It was around November. Right, okay. So yeah, so the tour was definitely... Right, okay. Yeah, so it was definitely done by then. Okay. So I'd already done... I'd done a couple of months touring, or I'd done a few weeks touring with Mumford & Sons around the US, and then did a couple of weeks with Miss Mister, and then did more... I think I did more shows with Mumford after that, and then went back to... No, I remember now. Okay, so time was crazy at that point, and I was just trying to do everything on the road, essentially. Like, had some time in a studio here and there, and blah, 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 but was mostly just, like, sitting in the back of my bus, sitting in the back of a van, just working and trying to get everything together. I had a 2-week period in September in between a couple of support tours that I was booked on, where I had to finish the record. Like, I had to finish it, and if I didn't finish it, I'd then start pissing people off. Like,
Fair enough.
the people whose job it is to make sure that I'm releasing records in the right amount of time. Exactly, yeah, pretty much. But it had already taken me 3.5, 4 years up until that point to get it together. So 2 weeks was a very, very short amount of time to try and consolidate all of my ideas, but it worked. It was great. Yeah. So by the time I went out on the Miss Mister tour, if it was in November, the album would have been done.
Yeah.
It would have been finished already.
Did you find, while you were working on the album prior to that tour, so maybe like September-ish, did you find that being on the road ever affected a couple of the last minute tweaks or the last minute edits to the album process?
No, I think by that point I was already set enough in my own ideas, and the surroundings that I'd been in had affected me up until that point. I didn't allow myself to get kind of seduced by anything last minute.
Yeah.
Otherwise it may have completely changed my attitude towards the whole of the record, and I may have wanted to record the whole thing again, and if I'd wanted to do that or asked to do that, I would have been shot by many, many people. So I kind of, I didn't have that luxury. I just kind of had to, not that I didn't have the luxury, but I had my ideas set. I knew what I wanted to do, and that 2-week period I had in September was to put it together.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, with the time that you took, if you guys haven't listened to it, Phase is out now, debut album from Jack Garratt, and it's a phenomenal album.
Thank you very much.
And I'm genuinely saying that because when I was listening to it, such an eclectic collection of sounds, so many layers to it, so many different genres mashed together, and most importantly, it hits the feels, guys. Like deep down in there, the nice feels right there. My favorite track by far was Surprise Yourself.
Thank you.
It's such a beautiful, soulful moment.
Thank you very much.
Can you take me through that song a little bit and what it was like putting it together?
That song is an interesting one for the record, only because that's one of the oldest songs on the album. I wrote that song about 3.5 years ago for a person who means an awful lot to me, who was living out in Chicago at the time, and still lives out in Chicago. And she got on the wrong train home. It was a direct train that took her from, inside of the city to way out of the city. And she was supposed to have gone on another train, which is like a train that takes her home, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, she went from having like a half-hour commute home to like a 2-hour commute home.
Oh, gosh.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, this is like 6 p.m. Chicago time, meaning it's like midnight, 1 a.m. for me in the UK. And I'm texting her and we're talking about the fact that she's just like screwed up this evening for herself, and it's that kind of feeling that everyone has at some point, where you convince yourself that the universe is doing it to spite you, that you're in a sober, very awake mind, and the universe is just tripping you up because it hates you.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible feeling to feel like everything is out to get you in that way. And believing, I'm built of the same stuff that the universe is built from, thought I have just as much right to try and encourage her and make her realize that, that's not the case, that instead there is more encouragement to be found and something enlightening can come from that kind of moment. I decided to just give her something to come home to. So that in the 2 hours it took her to come back, there was just like a song waiting for her that was supposed to be encouraging and exciting and euphoric. And, and that was, 3.5 years ago, like I said. And after lots of different demos and lots of different sounds and tweaks and moments, through the help of a producer called Mike Spencer, we were able to kind of bring it into a light where it sits now, where you guys have heard it.
Yeah. I wish someone would write a song for me when I had a crummy night, guys. But that's definitely the one I'm going to be listening to, crummy night or not.
There you go.
And there's a lot of, a great mixture of sounds on there, which tackles everything from like those moody night drives to like getting pumped up to go out and then just like chill out at home kind of deal. Now I know that growing up you had a lot of musical influence in your home from your parents.
Yeah.
Were there any albums that, the way your album creates this sort of evocative emotional journey for a lot of people, were there any albums that really did it for you growing up?
Growing up, not so much, because when I was a kid, I didn't really listen to albums. I didn't have the patience to listen to albums. I kind of just I liked noises and sounds and songs and things. And so I was the kid who you didn't want to give the DJ set to at the party, because you'd play 20 seconds of one song and then 20 seconds of the next song and then 20 seconds of the next song after that.
Gotcha.
Because even though everyone around me is enjoying the moment, I'm 20 minutes in front of everything going, oh no, I want to get onto the next bit now.
Yeah.
That was me. And I'm still like that today. But I don't know. I remember when the first time I found an album for myself. I remember I found Music of My Mind by Stevie Wonder, which is a pivotal record for him, released in the 70s, I think. And it really showcases him as a producer, and it showcases him as a musician and showcases him as a songwriter. It showcases all of these different sides to the musician that he is. And I remember being a kid who, I was writing songs at the time, and I was, I guess, producing them, though I didn't know it, because I was recording them and, putting drums on them and bass sounds and kind of putting a sonic field around these songs I was making on this little digital 16 track that I had. I remember listening to this record and someone going, that's all him on all those instruments. And I went, oh, then someone else. Because I did that myself, because I didn't have any other friends who played drums and bass and stuff who I wanted to come and be on these songs. I just thought, well, I can do it, so I might as well just do it.
Yeah.
Listening to his music, and especially listening to Music of My Mind, was really a hugely eye-opening moment for me, realizing that it is possible to be confident in your own ability.
Was there anything about the album process that surprised yourself when you were making it?
Yeah, there we go. Nice. Yeah, lots of moments, really. I've just been trying to push myself as hard as I can for the whole record and make sure that I'm proud of what comes out of it. And that I don't know, really. I'm immensely proud of it. And there's been a lot of moments in it where certain ideas I threw at the wall that I wasn't sure would stay forever ended up staying and being like big moments in the album. Like On Fire, for example, there's a lot going on in that track, but none of it feels like it's filler. All of it feels like it's necessary.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a surprise to me, coming out of the back of mixing that track and kind of going, oh shit, no, everything deserves to be there. All the sounds, all the little moments, the trickles of tone, everything in it is asking to be there. And okay, cool, I might as well leave it there then. Moments like that. When you finish a song, it's really interesting because it gains its own personality and characteristic and decides to talk to you.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's a really, really great feeling as a producer, because it starts to ask you what it wants. And Fire was one of those songs where I just threw loads of ideas at it and it just kept eating them. It was just always hungry, which I really love about that song. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I know a lot of people will have that sort of submersive feeling and finding their own answers when they listen to your music, because there's so many different things that you can find across it. You've got a lot of titles kind of racking up on you now. We've got BBC Sound of 2016, first place. We've got Critics' Choice Award at the Brit Awards this year, but my favorite, and this is probably something that I'm going to try and proclaim now is world-class multitasker, best multitasker on live stage. We're working on the title.
There you go.
But it's so crazy how, dynamic your live performance is.
Yeah.
Did you go to a lot of concerts growing up, or was there any like artists that particularly influenced you in that capacity?
Well, the show that I do is it's me on my own up on stage. It's the kind of modern one-man band thing that a lot of people are doing at the moment, but I'm trying to do it in a way that no one else is doing it. Not because I want it, I'm sitting there going, I'm better than everyone else. It's more a case of like, I don't want to get in the way of anyone else doing what they're doing, and I'd much rather be as unique as possible.
Yeah.
And also the way that I do it is a way that makes so much sense to me. It's the way I've always envisioned myself doing a set like this. So I've got drum pads and I've got keyboards and stuff, but I'm not on a grid. I'm not playing on click tracks or anything. I'm playing everything myself and triggering everything myself. If anything goes wrong, which it occasionally does, it's my fault. There's nothing to save me when I'm up there. But ultimately, the thing where it comes from is I love jazz bands. I love jazz trios. I love the intimacy of like a group of people, whether it's a group of 3 people, 4 people, or 5 people, just like a small platoon of musicians up on stage, all beating and riffing off of each other. I'm a huge jazz fan, and in particular, there's one band that like floor me every single time I've seen them play live. And though they're not a jazz band, I class them as being a jazz trio.
Okay.
It's Sun Lux.
Okay.
Who, the way that they perform their music live is genuinely inspiring to me. And I remember when I saw that show, I went, oh shit, so he's doing computer stuff and playing the keyboards. He's playing guitar and it's unbelievable. And then he's playing drums and it's the wildest thing I've ever seen. How do I do all of those 3 things at the same time? It was like watching the most electrifying jazz performance I've ever seen, but playing electronic music.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to create. I wanted to make people feel the way that I felt when I watched that show. And that's where the set comes from.
And I can promise you guys, he delivers on every front. So make sure Jack Garratt is out on tour right now. I know you're headed to the UK next and you're going wide across there. So fans over there, make sure you go check him out. Phase is out right now. One of my favorite albums already of the year. I'm proclaiming it right now.
Thank you.
Make sure you check out Jack Garratt. Thanks so much for chatting with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.